you ever catch the way you talk to yourself? If you spoke to your friends the way you speak to yourself, would you even have any? For the next 3 days, I want you to try something simple but powerful. Talk to yourself like someone you're actually rooting for, not perfectly, not artificially, just honestly and with a little more care. Because the tone you set with yourself, that becomes your reality. Let's change that tone together. You ever notice how your voice changes depending on who you're talking to? With a friend, maybe you're patient. With a stranger, you're polite. But with yourself, that tone can get sharp real fast, not always in the words, but in the weight behind them. See, we talk a lot about affirmations, about positive self-talk, about speaking life over ourselves. That's all good. But sometimes it's not even about what you say. It's how you say it. You could tell yourself, I've got to do better. And it might sound motivational one day. The next, it sounds like shame. Why? Because the tone changed, because your nervous system doesn't just hear words. It feels tone. Some of us have been talking to ourselves in a voice we picked up years ago. Maybe it came from a parent who meant well, but didn't know how to show grace. Maybe it came from a coach or a teacher or even just life. It trained you to be hard, cold, urgent, unforgiving. So now when you mess up, that's the voice that answers. The one that says, of course you did. The one that sighs in disappointment before you even get the sentence out. The one that's always rushing you to the next thing, but never stopping to say, hey, I see you trying. And the wild thing is, we think that voice is productive. We think if I go soft on myself, I'll lose my edge. Let me tell you something. Self-compassion doesn't make you soft. It makes you sustainable. That voice in your head becomes the environment you live in. And I don't care how high your goals are. If you're breathing in self-rejection all day long, you're going to burn out. So here's what I want you to try for just 3 days. Watch the tone of your self-talk. I don't mean sugarcoat everything. I don't mean ignore reality. I mean this, if you make a mistake, talk to yourself like someone who still deserves dignity. If you feel overwhelmed, don't bulldoze through it, acknowledge it, then move forward with kindness. If you're tempted to say, I'm so stupid, pause. Try, that didn't go how I wanted, but I can learn from it. Same moment, same truth, very different tone. Sometimes changing your tone is as simple as softening your breath before you respond to your own thoughts. Sometimes it's saying, this is hard, instead of pretending everything's fine. And sometimes it's just adding a pause, a little space between what happened and how you talk to yourself about it. You might be surprised what happens when you stop attacking yourself before the world even gets a chance to. I get it. This isn't flashy. It's not some breakthrough productivity hack, but it's foundational because the relationship you have with yourself, that's the filter for every relationship in your life. If your inner tone is always rushed, you'll rush other people. If it's constantly disappointed, you'll carry that energy into everything you do. But if your inner tone starts to shift just a little bit, you begin to experience yourself differently. You start showing up with a steadiness that doesn't rely on everything going right. And over time, that tone becomes your new normal, not because life got easier, but because you stopped making it harder than it had to be. Try it. For 3 days, just change the tone. You ever notice how fast your mind runs when something goes wrong? Like one small mistake, and suddenly there's a whole committee in your head dragging you through every failure you've ever had. That inner voice doesn't just whisper, it spirals fast. And without even realizing it, you're not responding to reality anymore. You're reacting to a storyline that voice created. We all have that voice, the one that narrates your life like it's breaking news. You blew it. They probably think less of you now. Why do you keep doing this? It's constant and it's convincing because it sounds like you. But just because a thought comes from your own head doesn't mean it's true or helpful or even fair. That voice, it's not evil. It's trying to protect you. It learned early on that if it gets loud enough, maybe you'll fix the problem faster. Maybe you'll avoid embarrassment. Maybe you'll stay one step ahead of shame. But in the process, it forgets how to be kind. It forgets that you're human, not a machine. And if you don't catch that voice, if you don't interrupt it, you start following it like it's the whole truth. So here's what I want you to practice. Interrupt the narrator when that voice kicks in. Pause, step back, notice it. Name it. That's my fear talking. That's anxiety trying to keep me in control. That's the old voice. I don't have to go with it. Simple phrases, but they break the trance. They remind you that you are the thinker, not the thought. It's not about arguing with your mind. It's not about fighting every negative idea that comes up. It's about choosing which ones you actually want to partner with. You get to decide if a thought gets airtime or not. And just like a bad radio station, you can switch the frequency when it starts playing something that's messing with your peace. Sometimes interrupting that narrator sounds like this. I hear you, but I'm not going there today. Other times it sounds like, okay, I messed up. That doesn't mean I am a mess. That voice will try to take you all the way down a road of shame, and all you have to do is take the first exit. Now, this isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about protecting your energy so you can deal with what's real. You don't need a 30-minute mental punishment just because you forgot something or didn't handle something perfectly. You need a clear head and a calm heart so you can fix what needs fixing and move on. And here's what's wild. You don't even need to be 100% confident to interrupt the narrative. You just need to be willing to question it. That's where the shift starts. The second you say, what if this voice isn't telling the whole story? You're not stuck in the loop anymore. You've got leverage. You've got perspective. There's power in that pause. That space between hearing your inner critic and deciding not to give it the mic. In that moment, you reclaim your ability to speak to yourself instead of just reacting to yourself. You don't have to silence every negative thought. You just have to stop letting it run the show. You're not weak for having those spirals. You're human, but you're also strong enough to interrupt them. And when you start doing that consistently, even for 3 days, you'll be shocked at how much quieter that inner chaos becomes. Not because life changed, but because you did interrupt the narrator. You ever have someone believe in you before you believed in yourself? That kind of voice sticks with you. It doesn't pressure you. It pulls you forward. It doesn't shame you into action. It reminds you who you are when you forget. That's the kind of voice we all need. But too often we wait for it to come from someone else, when the truth is you can be that voice for yourself. Most of us don't even realize how harsh our self-talk has become. We think we're just being honest with ourselves, holding ourselves accountable. No fluff, no sugarcoating. But there's a line between being honest and being harmful, and too many of us cross it daily thinking we're doing ourselves a favor. If someone you loved made a mistake, you wouldn't look them in the eye and say, you're always messing things up. You wouldn't say, why can't you get it together? And yet, that's how we talk to ourselves, automatically, without question. And over time, that kind of tone trains your brain to expect failure, not growth. What if instead you started talking to yourself the way a good coach would? I'm not talking about cheerleading or fake positivity. I'm talking about that calm, steady, firm, but fair kind of coaching. The kind that says, okay, here's what happened, and here's how we're going to fix it. The kind that doesn't ignore the mistake, but also doesn't reduce you to it. That's a whole different posture. A coach doesn't yell at you because you're worthless. A coach gives you direction because you have potential. That's the energy you need to bring into your self-talk. The moment you slip up, instead of going into that mental spiral of blame or frustration, ask yourself, if I were mentoring someone through this exact moment, what would I say? And 9 times out of 10, you'd say something a whole lot more helpful than what you just told yourself. There's strength in self-correction. But there's also strength in self-support. We're not taught that. We're taught to toughen up, push through, keep grinding. But here's the truth. It's easier to push yourself when you feel safe with yourself, when your internal voice is grounded, not aggressive, clear, not cruel. When you mess up, do you speak like someone who wants to see you win or someone who wants to punish you for losing? Because the way you talk to yourself in failure, that's the blueprint